The Close Weekly brings you the most actionable advice for today's real estate market. We'll unpack what you need to know to move the needle in your business in a real way. This podcast is brought to you by Premier Real Estate Agent Training Program, The Close Pro. Go to theclose.com/podcast to learn more and to get $25 off. Now, here's your host, the man who has been a top producing agent for over 25 years, Sean Moudry.
Hello, Close Weekly. It's Sean Moudry, and we're back again for another episode of the Close Weekly podcast. And this week, we have Nick Baldwin from Lab Coat Agents, the Nick Baldwin. Good morning, Nick.
Hey, Sean, what's going on, man? Thank you so much for having me on these first batch of episodes. I'm super excited.
Super excited, man. Top of the list. You are top of the list.
Top 5. I need to know who I need to step over to get into the top 3. I hear it's big, high-level people.
It's a tall list, man. It's a tall list. Yeah, this is gonna be good. And for the listeners, like if you haven't listened to the other episodes, feel free to jump back, listen to those. Nick and I will wait for you.
Okay, I'm waiting. Okay, they're done. Good.
Right. So, Nick, you have an amazing resume in real estate. You and I share so much. Both been real estate agents, right? You were a real estate agent for how long now?
Well, I'm still licensed in New Jersey, although I live in Michigan, but I sold real estate for about 12 or 13 years, and I've been in the business for about 15, going on 16 years.
Okay. And you've been an independent agent. I was with Remax when I started out, and then I was with Keller Williams. I'm still with Keller Williams, and I had a team with my mother in New Jersey. We did about 50-60 million in volume, give or take, every year. Then I had my own sales team. And then a year into that, I took a team leader position at a Keller Williams office here in Michigan, in my wife's hometown. So I started a team here as well. And so I had 2 teams, one in New Jersey that was still operating while I was team leader in Michigan. And then I started a sales team while I was team leader in the office that I was team leadering in. And you were a team leader too. I was a team leader also. Yeah. What years were you a team leader?
2018 to about 20 months, middle of 2018 to the end of 2019, right? Yeah. Yep. So right before the beginning of 2020. So about 20 months.
So for those of you that don't know what a team leader is, Keller Williams, a team leader doesn't mean you run a real estate team inside the organizational structure. So as many of you know, Keller Williams is a franchise company, and each office is independently owned. And each of those offices have what they call a team leader. And the team leader is responsible for recruiting. And some team leaders are the managing broker, right? But they're kind of the team leader of the team of the brokerage in general, not just an independent team.
So growing the market center, helping the agents in the market center grow their business. So it does. There is some recruiting in there, and there's also some business.
What are you talking about?
Listen, hey, Sean, listen, if it's recruiting, you're not doing it right. No, I'm kidding. If it's business growth, Sean, we know.
I'll be really clear. I was a recruiter.
Me too. So it's all good.
Yeah, I remember when they hired me, they said, "Oh, we're looking for somebody to coach and lead the agents." I said, "Oh, that sounds wonderful." And then I get in there and they're like,
why aren't you making phone calls?
Yeah, it's been a month and you haven't recruited 8 agents. And I'm like, what are you talking about?
You told me to coach the ones that are already here. No, get on the phones.
Yeah, get on the phones. Yeah, I was a team leader from, December of 2009 through, just about 2.5 years. I was a team leader.
Okay, wow.
Yeah. And my first 6 months, I failed miserably.
My gosh. I don't think there's a single TL out there who just didn't fall flat on their face for the first at least year.
Yeah. And then
I ended up number 11 in the nation. I still think those numbers were skewed because I was like number 7 going into the awards ceremony. I came out number 11 during the awards ceremony. But and I got that black belt team leader award. That was
dude, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So, but those are fun times, and I tell you, you learn a lot doing that. But
I'll tell you something. If you have a goal of being in some sort of leadership in real estate, no matter what you're doing or where you are or what brokerage you're with, doing something at a brokerage level that's similar to what a team leader has to do, that'll level you right up, honestly.
Yeah. Coaching. Well, I would say recruiting agents to the promise that you're going to help them grow their business, and then actually bringing them in and growing their business and then retaining them in any brokerage. I don't care. I agree with you. I don't care what brokerage you're at. If you have the ability to learn how to do that at a high level, it will change your life.
Yeah, no, I agree. And it's difficult because you got to build a name for yourself. The most successful team leaders are typically the most visible or influential people in their market. So everyone has to know about you. If they don't know about you, how can you recruit them?
Yeah, I would walk into a party and people would leave. I was
like, be like, Sean's here.
Sean's here.
He called me 17 times yesterday. Oh my God, I got to go.
So true. Well, and then now you founded Lab Coat Agents. You and Tristan, did you found that together?
Yeah. So Tristan started the group first because there was definitely a hole in the industry in terms of there was a lacking in the sharing of technology and the sharing of ideas and strategy and just how to grow a business. This was about 7 years ago. LCA or Lab Coat Agents is 7 years old. There was a website called Tech Savvy Agent, which was run by a guy named Steve Passanelli and also Chris Smith at the time. And those two guys left Realtor.com, which is where Tech Savvy Agent was. And that was really the only website at the time that just really shared best practices when it came to technology. Yeah. And so, Tristan was like, we need to have a space where we can share best ideas and so on and so forth. So he started a Facebook group. And an agent on his team came up with the name. Why just call it Lab Coat Agents? Because real estate's kind of like science, where like you're always kind of trying to figure out how to make your business better every day. And then he was like, whoa, that's actually kind of brilliant. And then they were just messing around with taglines and was exploring the science of real estate. And that's essentially what we do.
Did Gary Keller steal that from you then? Is that what we're saying right now?
But you know what? And I do have a bone to pick with Gary because we did have a Labrador as our logo at first. And then when we got rid of the Labrador, KW kind of took the Labrador for KW Labs. So I don't know if it's a coincidence, but Gary, if you're listening, we have to have a chat. No, I'm just kidding. Right. I hate the Labrador, so they can have it. But our new logo is kind of like an atom with a house in the middle. It's kind of cool. But anyway, but yeah, so I was brought in by Steve Passanelli. I was introduced to Tristan by Steve Passanelli, who is a mutual friend, and now Steve is with BombBomb. But yeah, he's like, hey, Nick and Tristan, you guys should know each other. And that was basically it. The rest is history. Usually I tell the story about how both Tristan and I met on Match.com, but that one isn't as fun. So, yeah. But we are like brothers, we're very good friends, and we have a lot of the same great ideas. And I think because we agree on a lot of those ideas, we were able to work really well together and grow LCA, the community itself, to over 250,000 members and followers. So it's pretty cool. And we do events, and we have an LCA premium app, which is a higher level conversation going on for agents who just want to have a more focused conversation. And we do lots of webinars.
That's like actually an app on your phone.
It's an app on your phone, LCA Premium. It does cost $30 a month, but if you want to get away from the noise of a large Facebook group, that's the place for you to go. So
yeah.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Sean.
I was just listening to a podcast this morning, and the person that was speaking was talking about the fact that people are trying to shrink the size of their audiences now on social media, because when the audience gets so big, the conversation gets, I would say, diluted in a way.
That is a very good point. Like we have this huge Facebook community, and now we want to make it smaller.
Yeah.
Right. Like we used to say we're the largest real estate community on Facebook. And now we're going to say we're the smallest real estate community on the internet. No, but it is true. Like the more followers you have does not equate to better or more engagement. And so if you want better engagement, you need a smaller focus. And so that's kind of what we're trying to do. We're trying to improve the engagement.
Yeah, or have subsets that people can really go into and nerd out on, right?
Totally. So there's different topics that you can follow so you don't get bogged down in everything.
Yeah. Well, one of the reasons we want to talk to you at the close was you're definitely a leader in the industry. You're definitely somebody who's on the front line, and you're connected with a lot of talented people. And right now we are looking at 2022 and saying, what are the things that agents need to pay attention to this year? We're coming out of a pandemic, ideally, it's going to continue to lighten up on us. And, there's a little bit of fear in the marketplace, I think it's fair to say. And so what other things do you believe, you, Nick Baldwin, believe that an agent should pay attention to?
I think that the pandemic brought to light technology that was always there, but wasn't really focused on so much. And that's proptech or property technology, like 3D tours, improving the search capabilities of your apps and websites, data analytics, artificial intelligence, drones, augmented reality. That stuff, while it was always there, it wasn't utilized as much because people would be physically going out looking at homes. And while people were still doing that, there was an uptick in those who were not. Right. And there was also a large influx of people moving to places that they wouldn't typically have moved to, but now they're working at home. So like there's some NAR stat from last year that said that 75% of first-time buyers bought a home bought a home in the suburbs, and that had a kind of like a extra room for an office.
Oh yeah.
So bought a home in suburbs that they wouldn't have normally lived before because their company is saying, hey, you have a choice now. You can come back to the office or you could work at home. And if you could work at home, wouldn't you just live anywhere? I mean, I would, if it didn't mean I had to work at 3:00 in the morning, but I would live anywhere. Right.
Well, let's pause there for a second, because I want to go back to the first one that you mentioned. So the first thing you mentioned is some property. You called it technology.
Property technology. So the things that I mentioned, so prop tech or property technology, what falls under that category is 3D tours. So like Matterport, anything having to do with marketing the property, improving the search capabilities of your websites, better searches, more data, drones, getting photos and pictures of the house from all levels, virtual reality.
What end is this though? Like, I'm just trying to break it down from a sense of, is this so a buyer from another city can do the research without flying out, traveling out, and basically buy sight unseen?
100%.
Yeah. I bought a 911 years ago in Florida. And I mean, this was probably back in like 2006, right? So this was kind of, the internet was out and we were using email, but it wasn't like you were really using it, right? Like we do today. And I bought this car sight unseen, and it had probably 200 photos, high definition photos that were on the website. And I remember thinking back then, this is 15 years ago.
Right. It's a lot of photos.
Well, and I'm thinking, why are they selling a car with 200 photos? And I only paid, I mean, it was a 1976 911, so it wasn't a $100,000 car.
Nice.
Yeah, I don't have it anymore. So let's talk about that, raising kids.
I hear you.
So recession, remember the recession?
I remember, yeah.
Yeah, at the same time. So, but I remember thinking then, why does an MLS listing, have 10 photos? And a car that was $20,000 has 200 photos. And why aren't we adapting this technology in today? And what really blows my mind, and I think this is what you're speaking to, it still is the same way. The average listing, has
25, 30 photos?
I don't even think that much right now. Because
I know that the MLS in New Jersey, where I'm from, you still can only have 25. Maybe they increased it. But here in Michigan, you can have upwards of 100.
Wow.
So it just depends on the MLS. But the fact that more MLSs don't have at least 50 photos, I just don't understand it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, people now, they're buying houses sight unseen. They want to see the house from street level. They want to see it from the sky. They want to be able to walk through it on their computer or in their VR headset. They want to be able to envision a certain type of couch in the living room with knowing the dimensions of the room. That's augmented reality. Putting an actual couch in the space, right? You can do that on the Amazon app. You can look at a chair and how it would look in your room. You can and should be able to do that when you're buying a house.
Okay, so my question there is, so that technology, is that readily available?
Oh my God, yes, it's totally available. You can do it on Amazon and Target on their apps. You should be able to do that on every home search app in the country. Like, honestly.
Okay, so my next question that's going to dig down deeper is do you believe that this should be standard practice on every listing, no matter, or just, let's say,
well, if the technology you're using to look at properties on can have that technology, then it wouldn't be hard, at least I don't think, to just make it available with whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Do I think you need it for every property? I mean, probably not. You know what I mean? But I think if it's a property that someone may move out of state to buy, then I think that you should think about how you would integrate that into your business.
Well, which leads me to the next question. So you talked about the migration patterns changing, and now we're seeing people who can, and I agree with you. It seems to me like the work from home forever tone has gone away from most corporations, but it's work from home most of the time, right? Is what I'm hearing now is more acceptable. That we want you to come to meetings, we want you to come check in a couple days a week, kind of attitude. But other than that, you can work from home, 40% of the time, right? Something like that.
Right.
40 to 60% of the time, but not 100% of the time. So now people have the ability to move, so I'm in the Denver area, right? And Denver's got a population of, about Denver and suburbs, about 2.5 million. So if I can live 40 minutes away, I could move to a beautiful community. I might be able to get a house on a lake, or near a lake, which would be really cool, and drive in at 10 o'clock on a Tuesday and not have to deal with traffic, right? So now I have some flexibility, and that changes my ability to, as a buyer. So all of a sudden my search radius opens up, greatly.
Yeah. So did you know, since you're in Denver, and I get this information from KW through Command, where you can see the referral migration patterns in the technology, 15% of referrals that were sent from Alaska year to date were sent to Denver.
I did not know that. So
15% of the referrals.
It shows you that.
In the referrals applet. If you're a KW agent in the referrals applet of KW Command, you can see where referrals are being sent to and from.
Okay, so that was going to be my next question. If I'm an agent and I'm in an outlying area and I notice this pattern of some people moving in, like New Jersey, and I have friends in Pennsylvania and New Jersey, and they say all these New Yorkers.
Yeah.
Right.
Totally.
All these New Yorkers keep coming in. So that was going to be my next question is how does an agent identify that opportunity and how do they take advantage of that? That's more.
Yeah. Honestly, I don't know how they would find that information out if they didn't have a brokerage that allowed them to see that information. So if your brokerage has the ability to see now these aren't migration patterns, they're referral patterns, right? So they're where referrals are being sent to and from. So if your company has a way to track that, I would check with them. I would assume that the bigger companies have that data, right? As opposed to the smaller mom and pops.
Isn't every real estate company a tech company now? It's like in everybody's bio
I mean,
now.
Listen, why not? It's what everyone's doing. But I think that it's a great piece of information to know, and it should tell you whether or not you should start thinking about integrating some of these property technology types of solutions like the 3D tours or the drones or the augmented reality, because if 15 or 20% of the people that are moving or thinking of moving from a certain place are moving to where you are, you may need to start adding some of this stuff to your arsenal of marketing, marketing features. Yeah.
It makes me think of one time I was on a plane from New York City back to Denver. Right. And on the flight, there was call it the magazine, the United Plus magazine or whatever the flight magazine.
Yeah. So it's a great magazine.
Yeah. top must read.
Right.
Best surgeons, right? But in that was an advertisement for a condo complex in Miami. Yeah. And I remember thinking to myself, why are they running why is a real estate company running an expensive ad in this magazine that's coming out of United to now? Obviously, airlines travel all over, but then it hit me. They're specifically marketing to people in the New York and LA areas or higher end areas that might move down there. So they changed their marketing to the demographic to attract them down to Miami.
It makes sense, and especially in the winter months, that would be an ideal time to advertise a condo in a sunny neighborhood. Yep. When there's snow on the ground right now. You're in Denver. There's probably snow on the ground all year round, but we have snow here. And if I saw a Miami condo in my Facebook newsfeed right now, I'd probably buy it. Like that's how, that's how miserable it is.
So another place that somebody could track, but the data isn't it's not timely, right? Is the U.S. Census Bureau. The U.S. Census Bureau has Census Bureau maps that you can click on the county and it'll show you migration patterns in and out of each individual county, which is really cool.
Oh, that's very cool. Yeah. So definitely use some of that stuff. I wonder if, where else can you find out where people move to and from? If you're listening to this, just find out where you can find out. That's all.
Let us know.
Yeah, because we have no idea what we're talking about. So just let us know.
Let us know. But what I'm hearing you say is if you can identify that information, because the census just got completed, right? It was just completed in 2020, wasn't the census?
Oh my God. That's going to be relevant for a while.
Yeah. So you could pull the 2020 census data, look at where the migration patterns is going, when you list a house, put ads in the market where people are coming from. Is that correct? Is that what we're thinking?
Correct. Mm-hmm. Correct. So I'll give you an example. So one time I was helping a team in the Cleveland area and they had a mansion for sale. I was helping them with their social media. They had a mansion for sale, $2.5 million mansion in Cleveland. And the KW, the Keller Williams data showed at the time that about 10% of people who were 10% of referrals that were sent from Los Angeles were sent to Cleveland. And so, who knew? Who would have thought? And I'm like,
This is the perfect property to advertise in Los Angeles, because this property in Los Angeles would easily be like $10 million.
Yep.
If there was a pool, it was on the river. So it was beautiful, right? It was gated, it was brick. So I advertised the listing in California, in Los Angeles. And in the listing, it said, try getting this for $2.5 million in Los Angeles.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
They got 221 leads and 6 buyers from it.
Wow.
Yeah, 6 serious buyers. And then I think they did get one buyer who was looking up to $500,000. It wasn't $2.5 million, but at least $500,000 and they were moving from Los Angeles to Cleveland. And so this stuff is the data, analytics is so important to pay attention to. So many agents are like, well, that never happens here in my market. My customers, blah, 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 blah. Okay, ignore the data. That's up to you. But it's there for a reason. And I think if you paid attention to it, you might see an uptick in your business, because this stuff doesn't lie. Numbers don't lie. So that's what's so great about it.
It makes me think of investors too. I've been a real estate investor. That's what got me into real estate. And a lot of investors used to be totally against investing in properties that they couldn't touch and see. Right.
Oh yeah. Not anymore.
Not anymore. Right. And they will buy over, they'll buy property they'll never see.
Right. Well, with Airbnb, they've been able to do that, and you hire a property manager and you never have to see the thing.
Yeah. Yeah. It's awesome.
Yeah, totally. So pay attention to property tech.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. What?
No, I was going to say, pay attention to this property technology, because think about it. That's what you're marketing. So you need to have technology around what you're marketing. So many times we're focused on generating the lead, which, obviously we need to do that or else we don't have a business, but giving the lead value and information and pictures, right. At least 200,
right.
And
good marketing will attract leads.
Oh my gosh, totally.
Yeah, because we've all had the experience. I shouldn't say we've all, but many of us have had the experience where we did a great job listing a property, marketing it correctly, and have the neighbor come over and say, you did such a great job. Will you list mine? And if you haven't had that experience, you need to look at your marketing.
Yes, totally 100%.
So 2 trends that we talked about is property tech, which I think is so cool, and tracking migration. Let's talk about some other, since you are the tech wizard, what are some other tech things that we should be aware of? And again, I am not a tech wizard. A
couple other things. Yeah, definitely. This is something that we're starting to see a lot more of now. Transaction transparency, like offer transparency, transaction transparency. We're living in a world right now where there's a lot of unknowns, and people are unsure of whether they're being told the truth, right? And so it's important to bring as much truth as possible to your real estate transaction. Mm-hmm. And so that's what I'm talking about, giving your customer an actual timeline of what the transaction is going to look like, where they're at in the transaction, what's coming next. Offer transparency. There's new technology out there that if an agent decides to use it, the buyer agent of someone who submitted an offer will be able to see how many offers are coming in on this property, right? So if you go back to your client and you say, there's 10 offers, well, how do you know? Well, they told me. Right? How do you really know?
Right.
You don't. And so one of the things that the consumer lacks in a real estate transaction is communication. Mm-hmm. If you could have automation along with the communication, keeping your client up to date on what's happening next in the transaction. I mean, think about it. If I order something on Amazon, I know when my package is 10 stops away.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Why shouldn't I know what's coming up tomorrow or the next day or the day after that? So there's a new company out there that I really love. They might still be in beta, but they're called Rooster, Ruuster, rooster.com. And like I said, they may still be in data. I believe that so you can go take a look at it. But it is I just literally got a notification from Amazon. It's 10 stops away right now. Like it literally just popped up.
I heard you.
I ordered a new wallet. I'm so excited.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and they say Amazon isn't listening.
Right.
They're like, Amazon's like, oh shoot, we forgot to tell Nick 10 stops away. But Rooster is a piece of tech that allows you to be as transparent as possible by just making sure that your client knows everything that's going on in the deal when they need to know it.
Yeah.
And so just being transparent and having technology that allows you to automate that transparency is so important.
Well, that's so interesting because so one of the things that we joke about all the time, those of us, this is my 27th year in real estate. So,
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I've been doing this a long time. But back then, our ability to negotiate and our skills with negotiation and our ways of doing that was one of our biggest values, right? And those of us that were really good negotiators stood out, and we dominated. Because I'm in the same market area that some of the top producers came from, right? Diana Kokoska, Tony DeCello, Karen Bernardi. I've been around some juggernauts my whole career.
Yeah, that's huge.
It's huge. And so the negotiation was everything, and today it's like, if you want to create value as a real estate broker, you have to provide other things. And what scares me about the conversation you're saying with this transparency is it again reduces the power of the ability of the agent to negotiate, right? Which I'm not saying that this is a bad thing, but it's a scary thing for me as an old agent.
Yeah. Well,
that scares me.
That's an interesting way to look at it. Does it reduce the power, or does it give you more power with having the knowledge that you didn't have before?
Depends on how many offers you have.
That's true.
Right?
True.
Because there are times that I may have in the past purposely misled an agent to think we have more interest than
you're like, we're expecting 17.
Yes. We have
I never said we had 17, so we were expecting 17.
That's right. My open house was so busy. My mom was there, my kids.
Right. My cousins came by. It was great.
That's right. We just had a party.
Exactly.
We called it an open house. So that scares me, right? That scares me because it takes it. And again, I'm not somebody who believes that technology is going to eliminate the real estate industry or agent, but I think it does make it easier for the agent to be eliminated.
Well, I think that's why agents need to be pivoting how they think of themselves. Right. Like, I don't know that we are real estate agents anymore. Like, yeah, we're real estate agents or we're realtors, but I think we're marketers and we're consultants. I don't think that the way we used to do business isn't the way we can still do business. Like, our job now is not to find the house.
Right.
Only 25 or 30%. And this is another NARStat. Only 25 or 30% of agents actually find the house for their client that their client ends up buying, which is actually a pretty decent number. But when 60% of your customers are finding it on their own, that number's huge.
Yeah.
So that's why it's so important to be the marketer who can market a property through the roof with all the stuff we talked about earlier. And then just consulting and guiding your client through the transaction. And by the way, that doesn't mean you have to physically or personally do it. There just has to be technology to help you do that, because when there's technology that helps you do that,
that makes the client feel like there's more communication. And when there's more communication, they're happier. And when they're happier, that means there's more referrals.
I agree completely on that point. The customers.
But gone are the days, Sean, where you can say we're expecting 17 offers.
Yeah. Yeah. So I agree on the communication point. Like, again, reflecting back, when we only had pagers and expensive cell phones, right? And you would get a page
143.
Yeah. Yeah. And you would return the call at like 4:30, 5:30 at night, and the customer didn't have an issue with it. They were like, I understand you're busy, whatever. And I paged you and you called me back today, right? Or they got your voicemail and you called them back within 24 hours. And then the pager goes away, text starts up, and people have this expectation of, I texted you, you should respond within.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah. You should have your text typed.
It should be, I should see the little dots.
Yeah. You should be watching your phone. And then you combine in things like, instant messenger, DMs, Snapchat, all these other ways people communicate. And so their appetite for communication has increased.
Yeah.
Right? Because of the availability of communication. They know
100%.
They know you can't hide.
They know you saw the text.
Yeah. Yeah. They know
my agent always has their phone in their hand, and now they don't. Yeah. Right.
Right. Yeah. So
although last night I went to bed at 7:30. So that would have been true. I was sleeping if anyone tried to text me.
That's funny. Yeah. But you're right. I mean, if they text you at 8:00 and you responded last Thursday at 8:00 and they text you on Tuesday night. At 8:00,
well, that's the thing. The moment you respond at 8:00, you just open the floodgates.
Yeah. It's permission.
If you set that expectation that you're not going to respond after 8:00, and then you do, then you open the floodgates.
Yeah. Yeah. So tell me,
it has its pluses and negatives, the transaction transparency.
Yeah. But I think it's consumer driven, consumers want it. So it's going to happen.
100%.
Yeah.
But it's agent facing in the sense that the agent has to agree to use it in order for the consumer to get their hands on it. So it is up to the agents to decide whether or not they're going to put it in the hands of their clients.
Well, I remember when Showing Time came out and your sellers would instantly get the feedback. I was in Nashville I was buying a fourplex down in Nashville, and I was traveling on my phone. I get this text from my client, and he says, well, if they don't like the house, they don't need to buy it. And I was like, whoa, what is going on? And he got the feedback.
And you're like, what is he talking about? Who?
I was like,
we listed our house because we bought a new house and we're closing on Friday, and we listed our house, and it's a trip being the seller as an agent. It's a trip. Like, we got the feedback from Showing Time from our agent, and we have cats in the house, right? The house was immaculate. We got it deep clean from top to bottom. And some of the feedback we got was the cat. And by the way, we went up to our lake cottage for the weekend because we had like 30 showings by the morning that we listed the property. So we had to get out of the house. They're like, the cat threw up on the bed. That was in the feedback for Showing Time. And I'm like, newsflash, the throw up or the bed, neither the throw up or the bed or the cat come with the house.
Yeah, they're not included.
Yeah, right. Like, so you don't have to worry about that. So you're saying, were you just letting me know, or are you saying that that's the reason you don't want the house? Because newsflash, none of the three of those things come with it.
Oh,
it's like, oh my God, drives me nuts.
So true.
Drives me nuts.
True. Well, I know I want to be respectful of your time. And so is there anything else that you see an agent needs to keep their eye out over the horizon?
Yeah, just there's things that I think are always things that we should be paying attention to. Like, chat bots. We should always have a way for a consumer to message you through your website. I think particularly Facebook Messenger chatbots. There is a really cool stat that from Facebook that's only about a year old that says 65% of consumers feel more comfortable messaging a business through their website than they do through text or email or phone. So to have a chat bot on your website that links to your business page so consumers can contact you while they're looking at your website is extremely, extremely valuable. And then automate your follow-up, automate your texting, automate your emails when you're trying to convert someone to a consumer, because it's all about speed to lead. So those things, while they are not new, there are things that not enough agents take into account.
Yeah.
So automating your speed to lead and follow up and getting a chatbot on your website, those are just two things that we should always be doing. So definitely look into doing those things.
So I have one more question on that, because you're probably, in the real estate industry, one of the people that would have a really good insight on this question is there's a lot of conversation right now about the quality of the leads that are coming in, right? Through the internet, right? Call it Google ads, Facebook, high intent leads, low intent leads, Zillow leads, realtor.com, all kinds of leads that are coming in. What's your perspective on that?
Yeah. So Facebook leads are definitely the least, I don't want to say the least motivated. They're the least ready. Okay. Because there's a difference between motivation and readiness. Someone might be motivated to buy a house, but they might not be ready for a year. Right. I'm motivated to buy a Ferrari, but I'm not financially ready to buy one, but I'm motivated as heck to buy one. Right. Like
right.
Two completely different things.
Yep.
Google are much more motivated and much more ready and very motivated. When I say much more ready, they're probably like 6 months out, whereas Facebook are typically 12 months out. And then you have your Zillow and your realtor.coms, which are show me that house right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't have time to sit down with you and have a conversation. I just want to see the house. But there are ways to get Google quality leads through Facebook, and it's all about targeting. It's all about the interest that you target. And you have to be very careful, because with housing, you're a special category. So you can't do, male or female. You got to do both. You can't do age. You have to do all ages. So you have to make sure that you're targeting correctly and abiding by fair housing rules. But when you're targeting on Facebook higher net worth interests, like finance, stock markets, home equity, mortgage loans, people interested in luxury property. When you're targeting higher net worth, you're going to get in front of people who are not only motivated, but more ready because they have more money.
They have a higher ability.
Correct.
Yeah.
So you can get higher quality, higher intent leads just by what and who you're targeting.
Yeah, because what good's a lead if they are unemployed and
it's not a lead? You know what I mean? It's just a waste of your time.
Show me this $500,000 house, and by the way,
I'm a barista. You know what I mean? Can I pay in lattes?
Yeah, it's interesting. And then you're saying so on because the common thing on Facebook, right? A lot of people will advertise a house or a listing or a lifestyle to get a lead to click. But on Google, you're more advertising geography, right? So something like,
So Google is like this. Think of it like this. The reason why Facebook leads aren't as ready is because they don't go to Facebook to look for a home for sale. Right. They see an ad in their newsfeed because you targeted them, right? Someone who finds you through Google sits down at their computer or their phone and they type in homes for sale in Denver.
Yeah.
So they're actively seeking you out, right? And then someone on Zillow went directly to Zillow and clicked the button that said, show me this home.
Yeah.
So those are the main differentiators and why leads are so vastly different on different platforms.
So let me throw one more question there, just because it's the elephant in the room, which is the conversion per lead has gone down dramatically in the past 5 years.
Yeah.
Right. And the cost per lead I mean, I know agents are paying $900
for Zillow. Cost per leads on Facebook can still be as low as $2.
Really?
Yeah, but the thing is, it's a 1% conversion rate.
If you're lucky.
You know? If you're lucky. If you're good.
If you're good.
And that's where chatbots and automation come into play.
Yeah. So
right?
what technology is the best for that, in your opinion, for managing that?
Yeah. So there's a couple things. One is full-on automation. You can use a system called agentlegend.com, and that allows you to automate texting, email, and voicemail drops like slide dial. So that's very good and very cost effective in the sense that like it's inexpensive. I forget the price, but I believe it's under $300 or $200 or $300 a month, which is cheap. And this is if you get a high influx of leads. If you're getting like 100 leads a month through Facebook, you want to use something like this. Then there's other companies like Conversion Monster, which is like human powered. And those are virtual ISAs. They're based in the United States. They're in 2 different time zones. And they follow up 24/7, 365 with phone calls, emails, and text messages and voicemail drops, but they're human powered. So it's a little bit more expensive. But if you're looking for something automated to get you started, Agent Legend, when you start to, get that extra income, then you can transition over into something that's human powered because there's more of a human element to it. Right.
Interesting.
But yeah, so those are the 2 that I highly, highly recommend for follow-up and doing it quickly.
Oh, that's awesome. I've never heard of either one.
Well, there you go, Sean.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. I'm going to do some research. Well, Nick Baldwin, I so appreciate your time today. And man, I wish you the best in 2022 and congratulations on your new house.
Thanks, dude. We bought a 10-acre farm. I don't know what. We're going to get alpacas.
And you bought a lake house. What are you doing? Dude.
I don't know. It's not, we sold one house.
Life is good at the Baldwin house. I'm just saying.
Listen, I had a good year, man. I'm very happy with how things are going. And, I'm living a life by design, as they say, Sean.
That's good, man. I respect it. Hey, man, I got all the respect for it in the world. And, I'm just waiting. I got a boat, dude. I got a boat and a trailer.
Dude, bring your boat over to my lake house, man. What you waiting for?
Dude, warmth.
Oh, well, in the summertime, it's nice.
Yeah. Be careful what you say, man. You've seen Christmas Vacation?
My
cousin Eddie.
Oh my God.
My 6 kids are going to pull up in the army.
It'll be you. You'll be Randy Quaid.
Totally. Excellent, Nick. I appreciate you so much and wish you the best in 2022.
Thanks for having me, man. Have a good one.
You got it. Bye-bye.